All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. The Super Bowl is arguably the biggest sporting event on the calendar each year. Now, roughly, each game has about 80,000 fans in attendance watching the contest, while it is viewed by millions around the world. And it has truly become a global event. And you look at the National Football League because, the National Football League continues to expand its global footprint. But with that said, would we or will we ever see the NFL take their marquee event international? Now, the reason why I bring this up is because recently the mayor of London, England, Sadiq Khan, wants to bring the big game to his city. And okay, and he's let his voice be heard on that. I totally understand it. Now, London was the first site of the first regular season game in Europe when the New York Giants took on the Miami Dolphins back in 2007. Now, this was not the first regular season game outside of the United States. That came in 2005 when the Arizona Cardinals and San Francisco 49ers faced each other in Mexico City. And for years, we saw the National Football League have preseason games overseas, whether it was Tokyo, Japan, London, England, Barcelona, Spain, you name it. But okay, things have changed now, and we're seeing more international games each year during the regular season. Now we know that the NFL's international fan base is growing, but would the league want to take their big game overseas? I bring this up because you look at it during the international games. Anybody who's watched them, there's a limited amount of American fans in the stands, and I say American fans like fans who are really supporting the teams. Let's say, for an example, if you had the Packers playing the Steelers or something like that, okay, you'd have a limited amount of fans. The bulk of the people that are there are from the respective country that the game is being played in, and they're just happy to see a football game. You might see people at a Packers game there wearing Vikings jerseys or Bears jerseys, whatever, because people are just, happy to see that game. And the reason why I bring this up is, would the NFL want to run the risk of having, I can't even call it a neutral crowd, just people just cheering in general, at their big game? I mean, when you think about the Super Bowl, you got one side, cheering for one team, another side cheering for another. And in some cases, some fans are really are being drowned out. I mean, you go back to the Super Bowl just this past February between the 49ers and the Chiefs. Game took place in Vegas, and there were more Niners fans there than there were Chiefs fans. The same can be said for the Super Bowl last year out in Glendale between the Eagles and the Chiefs. And then you think back to 3 years ago, 2 years ago rather, when the Bengals took on the Rams at SoFi, the Rams home stadium, okay? And it was about 75% Bengals fans there. And it sounded like, Cincinnati West, if you will. Granted, the Bengals still lost the game. But nonetheless, would the NFL want to risk that? The other thing is the time factor, because you're talking about 6 hours difference between Eastern Standard Time and the time over in London. So you figure now the Super Bowl starts at about 6:30. So you're talking about having a game starting 12:30 in the AM local time over there, and they would then finish in the wee hours of the morning. It's a lot to factor in for that. You know what I mean? The NFL understands that because now, most of the international games they begin at 9, maybe 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time now to accommodate the folks in Europe. So the NFL knows that people are going to support their product wherever they take it. I mean, the NFL, and I've talked about this, they've already shown that they don't care as much about their American fan base as they want people to believe. I mean, you just look at week one. for the upcoming season. You got the Eagles and Packers taking each other on, excuse me, in Brazil on a Friday night. And, I've expressed my displeasure for it just due to the fact that when you think about two of the stronger fan bases in the National Football League, I think about the fans that follow the Philadelphia Eagles and the same with those that follow Green Bay Packers. Those folks deserve the opportunity to see their teams in week one uh, up close and personal. And I mean, you think about it, the Eagles just got to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and they're going to be one of the favorites to win the NFC for the upcoming season. You think about the playoff run that the Green Bay Packers just had, and the Cheeseheads definitely have to be excited for that. And you're taking those fans away from that, okay? So, we've heard the rumors about the NFL possibly exploring putting a game in Australia. And at the end of the day, they're going to try to fleece this golden goose as long as it's hemorrhaging cash, as they continue to chase money. But I do feel, as far as an international Super Bowl, I do believe that the NFL would pump the brakes on it for now, just due to the fact that I believe that they would like to have a franchise set up someplace overseas before they did that. And I think they're not close to that as of yet. For me, I'm a realist. I'm not going to be a fan of the NFL, taking their big game overseas. But I will say this: I do believe that it will happen at some point in my lifetime. I do believe that we're going to see an international Super Bowl. I do believe we're going to see an international NFL franchise at some point. When it happens, I'm not sure. But like I said before, as long as this team pardon me, as long as this league continues, to chase the dollar, and as long as they continue to chase or find any spot where they could make money, it is a possibility. So London has thrown it out there as far as wanting a Super Bowl. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but I do think at some point it will happen. When and where, only time will tell. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.